Hello and welcome. My name is Angela Thompson and I appreciate you joining me. Today I'd like to share a project with you on behalf of tinypandora.com. Let's begin.
These are the colors I'm using in this tutorial. There is more distinction in person between them. The camera just didn't pick it up quite as clearly as I'd like. Prepare your colors by rolling them into snakes. Your core color should be short and thick, about a 1/2 inch in diameter and 3 inches long. The other colors will be thin and longer as shown. Cut your longer snakes into sections and then alternating your light and dark, apply them to your core. Then you will roll your core until it is smooth and long, and then start folding and rolling or folding and stretching until you achieve a wood grain that you like. Now I'm going to roll this out by hand. You can do it with your pasta machine if you like on your thickest setting. And then I'm going to take a look at it and decide what sections of this strip of clay I'd like to use. I'm going to take 2 to 3 sections and stack them side by side to make an area big enough for my cutter. Once I have that area, I'm going to use plastic wrap and just kind of burnish it or smooth it on the top to make sure the pieces are all well connected. And then I'm going to leave the plastic wrap in place and cut out my shape. I'm going to use my blade to remove it from this surface and transfer it to a ceramic tile that I'm going to work on for the rest of the time. Once I have it on my ceramic tile, I'm going to smooth any outer edges, and then I'm going to take my small heart-shaped cutter and cut out a section of it. Then I'm going to use that same cutter and trim an additional about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch off the top. And then I'm going to fit this piece back inside of the heart. The goal will be to leave a gap of about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch all the way around the small heart, which we will backfill after we bake the piece. Take your time with this section. It can be a little bit fiddly. You're going to probably experience a little bit of distortion, and you can just correct that by either trimming with your X-Acto knife or with your blade. Sometimes I use the base of the cutter to go back around just to maintain the shape. Make sure that you clean or smooth any interior edges as well. You want those nice and crisp. Now I'm going to take my baked piece, which I've allowed to cool, and I'm going to leave it attached to the tile because that will work in my favor. I'm going to take a piece of painter's tape and run it along the edge of the area where the cutout is. I want to pay particular attention to the gaps because I want the tape to act as a wall to hold the liquid clay in while I bake it. I'm just using regular household painter's tape here. I'm smoothing about half of it onto the tile and then the other half up against the base of the piece. And then I'm going to mix some alcohol ink into Sculpey Liquid Clear and use that mixture to fill in the gap and then rebake it. Now that my piece has cooled, I'm going to remove the piece of painter's tape and pop it loose from the tile. I'm going to use an X-Acto knife and trim around the edges where the liquid clay is. Sometimes it will seep a little bit under the tape. We're just going to use that X-Acto knife, clear that up so it's a smooth surface. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to use the rest of the clay that I had from making my wood strip and cut out a back piece. I'm going to use one of the colors. You can use whichever one you want. They'll all work beautifully. And cut a long thin strip to make an edging for my piece. The backing I'm going to roll out on my thickest setting, and the strip for the edge I'm going to roll out on a medium setting. I'm going to use a drop of super glue and attach my bail to the back of the pendant. Once that's done, I'm going to use liquid clay and put a light coating on the back of the baked pendant and then join the raw clay for the backing to the back of the pendant. I'm going to wrap my strip around it, and then I'm going to apply a little bit of texturing. It can be a little tricky working your clay strip around the bail. Just smooth it with a soft rubber tip or your favorite smoothing tool. now that it's fully baked, I'm ready to put a gloss on it. I'm going to use a UV resin, specifically Magic Gloss by Lisa Pavelko, which I got from tinypandora.com. And I like the high gloss finish on it. You could finish it however you wanted. You could put liquid clay over top of it, heat that with a heat gun. That would give it a nice finish. Or maybe you just like the look of it the way it is. Either way, whatever you want to do. Another idea with these type of pendants that you could do, you could absolutely take and etch some initials. If you wanted to put you and your loved one's initials on it, that would be a cute idea. Anywho, I'm going to finish it with the Magic Gloss. It's easier sometimes if you do an outline of the piece first, cure that for 3 minutes, and then come back in and do the fill. Any type of resin has a tendency to pull away from the edges a little bit when you're using it, and that kind of counters it. Once you've cured the edge, you would fill it with the Magic Gloss and then pull that back across what you had previously cured with a toothpick and just kind of move it around. That way you get a smooth and flawless finish. Another tip with any kind of resin, go ahead and brush the top of it with a lighter or a heat source. That will pop any kind of air bubbles that are trapped. They're not always visible to the naked eye, but if you just briefly flick it with a flame, you'll see those air bubbles pop. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. As always, you can reach me on Facebook or via email, and I look forward to hearing from you.